We're going to start things off with Mr. Hussam Shaheen from the UNHCR. He's going to give us a talk about refugee camps. Mr. Hussam Shaheen, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Again, the same problem with everyone with
we can't hear you. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, okay. If you can raise your voice a little bit, it would be great.
Sure. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm talking to you from Dubai this morning, and great to, I think I can start to see the numbers, Muhammad, and I hope good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone of you. So I'll just be a few minutes on the UN Refugee Agency, what we do, and the main mission we're trying to accomplish. You may know that today we have more than 80 million displaced people from all around the world. And this is really a huge number that can really fill a big country. What UNHCR is trying to do, or the UN Refugee Agency is trying to serve and help and protect as much as possible people from all around the world, wherever they are. Unfortunately, we have in our region, the Middle East and North Africa, we have many refugees because, you know, the problems are not getting less, they are more. And the conflicts zones are just becoming more and more. People who are running out of persecution and different situations. The future of these displacement challenges might be in the future, or we expect to be, climate change as well. So it's not only about political and conflict zones. We are going towards climate change, migration, and refugees. Maybe this is just an early alert from the UN and the global humanitarian, not only the development and the environmental part, but as well from the humanitarian players. What we're aiming to do is protect those people. We're currently working in many countries all around the world, in the Middle East and North Africa. We're in every and each countries. As you know, the Syria situation is not fading away. People are not going back to their countries as we hope to, whether in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Egypt, even in Iraq, in different places where people where people are still staying. When I'm talking about Syrian families, and this is just an example. 60% of refugees are in our region, and we're hoping to support them as much as possible. One of the programs we're trying to highlight is our, we're working with local partners, of course. We are not we are not a religious authority, but we're working with different partners who are scholars, who are NGOs and charities who understand the matter better. But we work since 2012 to build up our zakat and sadaqah program, and we're just a distributor of this program. We're trying to work and help families all around the region with that program that is growing. And maybe this is a cry out for more partnerships with different families and businesses. Maybe they want to discover more and more about that. Just let me highlight, Muhammad, that most of the refugees and displaced people are women and children. As you know, men usually are left behind in the zones where there are conflicts, or families lost them. So it's a very critical situation to try and support head of the family. And this in the refugee situation, there are women who are taking care of 5 children on an average usually, and it's very important to support them. And maybe I can stop there, and I'm happy to answer or try to answer any question from your colleagues and partners on the panel on the website. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussam. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Hussam? Ladies and gentlemen, please do leave the questions. Mr. Hassan, I just wanted to ask you a question. When it comes to these programs, like what are the focuses? What are you guys focusing on? Is it mainly aid in terms of nutrition, food, or education? Like how's the pie divided amongst all these activities?
Our main core business, this is very important question, Muhammad. And the main core business that we do is protection. So what we do is people, when they move, we make sure, so when they move from a zone conflict to another country, or even sometimes in the same country, we make sure that they still have their identity with them, like official identity.
Passports.
So they are eligible for help and support from the local NGOs or or UN agencies or different players. So our main thing is really to protect them legally to start with. The second step is to make sure that they have the main support. And we're in the last few years we moved from support that can be blankets or something tangible to more cash. And the reason why is we want to give the families, and as I mentioned, women in particular, the freedom to say, this is the priority for my family. This is where I need to spend the money on my family. And that can goes from education to her children. And again, just to highlight that the money is very little. We're talking about $170 to $180 a month. But this very little money supports those family very much in rent, education, health, and even to pay their debts. Because as you know, when you move from place to place and you have nothing,
Wow.
you just have to take some loans from your friends, from
Some people,
local
exploitive
support.
people as well. I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure.
Healthcare, just to end with, healthcare in the COVID situation was very challenging for humanitarian players, including ourselves, because we needed to discover how to deal with this very immediately. Of course, we had experience with Ebola in different places where you had refugee communities in Africa, but on a global level, that was a huge problem, like to all of us. And Alhamdulillah, we could in a way prevent an outbreak when it comes to refugee camps. And at the same time, we work very much with the authorities and WHO and other players to start even vaccinating. So far, Jordan Jordan, and now Lebanon are a different place. I just want to single out one country, but there are countries who are pioneering now in vaccinating refugees in their own countries, which is very important, because if one is safe, it helps in the safety for everyone.
Thanks a
Thank you.
lot, Mr. Hossam. We're going to wait on questions. We're going to have you around. If there's any questions, we're going to bring you back up to answer them. Thanks a lot, Mr. Hossam. See you in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have a panel titled Humanity versus Geopolitics. And for this panel, we were supposed to have Her Highness Sheikha Intisar Salim Al Ali Al Sabah. She was scheduled to be on the panel, but unfortunately, due to an emergency, she just canceled. However, this panel is in really good hands. Our panelists for this panel are going to be Ms. Leila Al-Mutairi. She's the CEO of Injaz. Injaz is a nonprofit organization that provides programs to help prepare Kuwait's youth to succeed in the global economy. That's very interesting. We're going to definitely be asking her about that. Ms. Leila Al-Mutairi has a vast experience in leadership, specializing in change management. She also has 18 years of experience in the field of brand strategy, communication, and advertising. And 10 of those were spent with Zain Telecom, excuse me, where she joined as a senior officer and worked her way up through 10 years to become the brand director. And the next panelist on this panel is Mr. Khaled Al-Qaoud, whose activities are widely spread over the corporate and the social world. He's the founder and CEO of Al-Qaoud Enterprises, International Leadership and Coaching, Prince Event Management, Natural Bites, so many businesses, so many activities. He's also the co-founder of International Change Makers in Kuwait, the founder of Bahrain Corporate Social Responsibility Society, and he was also appointed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Kingdom of Bahrain as a board member on the National Committee for Combating Trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Ms. Layla Al-Mutairi, and Mr. Khalid Al-Qaoud. Okay, just made you guys panelists. Welcome, guys. Mr. Khalid, you're here? Mr. Khalid, going once. Okay, let's see, maybe he came in with a couple of accounts because I've seen him going in and going out. Okay. Okay, we'll just get started with you. So I was like really intrigued by the scope of business of Injaz. Can you tell us more about it?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. Injaz, I'm the CEO of Injaz Kuwait. Injaz is a nonprofit organization that exists in many countries in the Middle East. And it's also a part of a bigger organization that exists almost everywhere in the world. It's called Junior Achievement. Injaz Kuwait has started 15 years ago in 2005, and it was one of the first offices. I mean, Kuwait and Jordan were the first offices in the Middle East. We train youth by delivering programs in schools and universities. We start from elementary till after graduating in 2 years. We teach 3 main pillars: work readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy.
Wow.
Yes, it's a very interesting, and we do that through volunteers, corporate volunteers. So we train those volunteers, and those volunteers go to the schools and universities and teach those our students. And the reason we do it through corporate volunteers is because we want them to transfer their experience as well. So it's not only the syllabus of Injaz, it's also the experience of the volunteer coming to inspire our students. Of course, Injaz Kuwait so far has trained more than 100,000 students. And obviously, to reach this number, we have to have a strategic agreement with the Ministry of Education to allow us to go into schools and teach our programs.
What has it been like so far in terms of, because, you know, like when new programs are started, there's usually a lot of resistance. From families, we don't want our kids to be studying special stuff. We already have enough with science and maths. We don't want to give them more stuff to study. So how's that experience been for you?
Well, since it has been here for 15 years, and wow. I wasn't at the beginning because I've been heading Injaz for the past 3.5 years. Before that, I used to volunteer at Injaz. But you are right. I mean, some parents do that. But because we go through schools and we are authorized by the Ministry of Education, it makes it easier for us to teach the students, and it makes the parents very comfortable as we are authorized by the ministry. Also, after a while, the parents have seen the difference in their children or their kids' attitude, and we get people to call us and thank us for our program. Wow.
Okay, that's great. Mr. Khalid Al-Qaoud, welcome. You're doubling up 2 accounts. That's abundant.
I think it's the bonus for me not to be there with the technology updates.
Oh man, okay, Mr. Khalid. Mr. Khalid, so we're going to start this panel off with a quick question for the both of you. You guys can take turns to answer this one. The first question is there a place for political maneuvers during a global crisis? We can put this topic for discussion on the table. You've seen a lot of situations where certain countries during this past crisis have been using it to get certain clout, certain concessions from other countries. What do you think of that?
Very good. Good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you on this panel, and I'd like to apologize for the technical issue that just happened a while ago. But definitely, there was a lots of in and out in this particular topic in different countries, and we see that through we won't say we won't take it into the political way part, but we were going to say it's more about the collaboration party between the political leadership. We have witnessed a lots of things, especially with the contributions of the private sectors and the family businesses, also with the arms of the governments when it comes to supporting the pandemic issues that all the world have been facing. You notice the role of the non-profit organizations as well in that. So when you want to talk about it in a global way, if there is a political influence or not, there was. How did we address that? It was different to be, and the address was totally different from a country to another, from a region to another. It all depends into how humanitarian was looked at through the eyes of politics.
So, Mr. Khalid, in terms of, you're very active when it comes to corporate social responsibility. So you were hand in hand, I'm sure, with a lot of these approaches. Can you tell us a couple of things that you have noticed when it comes to?
Well, I have to tell you that the role of corporate social responsibility was very much noticed in that particular issue that the whole world was affected with. Mm-hmm. Now, in the old days, when it comes to support any regional cases, it was always land in the hand of the government. But today we see the contribution of the private sector and the contribution of the non-profit sector and the contributions of the family businesses into trying to put their hands together with the governments to just support in any way they can. It's not today something that people will go get. I know that the medical sectors for producing the vaccine is the one who will benefit end of the day, but in a longer term as well. But when you look into the corporate social responsibility of the private sectors and the family businesses, or the ISR as well, the individual social responsibility, it's very much noticeable in this period because everyone wants to just find a solution, because the effect was not an effect of a sector, it was a global effect. So yes, there was a lot of contribution, a lots of programs, a lots of sustainable, let's say, projects that happen. When you look into the private sector today, look at into how they have shifted the line of their business, which used to be, as example, 80% I'm going to get a profit, 20% I'm going to give it to the community. They have shifted this formula. They increase their contributions to the community because they want the community to be better so they can go back into their business and gain their money.
Okay. Do we have any examples, any specific examples that you have noticed in person? Ms. Layla Al-Muteri, you're welcome to jump in whenever you want.
We have somebody who does today. We have Injaz, which I'm not going to speak in the behalf of Injaz, but Injaz will going to tell you today how they have contributed in some of the education, which is education physically was not available. Look into the private sector and their contributions in providing the technology to the government to sustain education. Look into, let's say, the services that was giving for certain types of businesses and how it's been shifted just to support the citizens in terms of the food sectors, in terms of the tourism, in terms of the travel. All those things have been affected by the pandemic. But when you look into the solution that came into the countries, as example, we never had that much internal tourism. Mm-hmm. And now that's been increased. We never had the in-house sport activities.
I mean, in the house, literally, not in-house, as in the house.
In the house sport activities, which you have to pay for it.
Okay.
So businesses' ideas have been flourishing in a way that it was supporting what is supporting the lifestyles of the people in a way, but at the same time did not stop, growing. Yes, we are all affected, definitely, 1,000,000%. Who will say that we did not been affected by the corona? Maybe he's with
Denial.
yeah. Might be the company is in Mars or something. But what we're trying to say that yes, look at the support that people is giving nowadays, even for refugees.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the old days, because we have the feeling have been increased, the responsibility have been increased. People nowadays is not looking into what they have in their hands only. They started to think about others in the regional places.
Ms. Layla Al-Muteri, do you have anything to add to this?
I think Khalid said it all so far.
We would love some commentary from you as well.
Well, from my perspective, like I said earlier, like Khalid said earlier, everybody was affected by that, and everybody, especially nonprofit organization, tried their best to help in this pandemic in its own way. Maybe someone like Injaz, we're not in the medical sector, but we are in the educational sector, so we flipped in no time into digital education, and it wasn't easy, especially that we are a nonprofit organization that depends on the support of private sector and governmental sector and family businesses. And thank God they were all believers in what we do, and they are believers in that we have to flip into digital education in no time, and we got all the support to do that. So everybody has a role in it in his own little way. Because this pandemic affected everything.
Ms. Leah, I just wanted to ask you, I'm very intrigued, very interested to know how quickly did you guys turn around into digital, given that no one saw this pandemic coming? How long did it take you to, let's say March 13th, March 12th, everything across the Arab world shuts down? How quick did you guys turn stuff into digital?
Well, the speed was shocking even to us. The people working on it, the minute everything was shut down, we knew the business will shut down if we don't do anything about it, because we're used to going to schools.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to do it really fast, and we start to take it step by step. We didn't have any idea, we didn't have a strategy, we just decided to do something. So we started turning the first programs, 1 or 2 programs, and then we opened our programs online for anybody, not only for schools. So people start registering because they're locked home. So they started registering their kids and so on. And each program succeeds, we work on the second. So we have launched, by May, we were already online, maybe before.
Okay,
Yeah.
45 days in, done, you had to get it done.
We had to. We had to do it the simple way, maybe start by a PowerPoint, and then we developed into better, designed programs. But we made it, and it was very interesting. And we couldn't depend on volunteers when it came to that, because it was very hard to communicate and find people. Everybody was worried, afraid, staying home, and so on. So Injaz staff in Kuwait and in the Middle East, they've done it themselves for those who couldn't find volunteers. So it was very interesting. And especially in Kuwait, what I did, I literally told them, forget your job descriptions, forget the company structure. We are now under martial law. So
wow, okay.
So basically, this is what I told them. So I'm like, listen, guys, all of us will work on everything. We are a nonprofit. That's what we're here for, So everybody did something to reach that, and everybody tried to get out of his way to do whatever he did. None of us had a job description. We did it, we worked per day.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, but now we are so proud, and we actually have a strategy and a plan, and we've been working on it for the past months. So I think if there is a will, there is a way.
Great. I'd like to welcome the 105 attendees that we have so far. Before I go into the next question, but my next question is, Ms. Leila, you worked on the both corporate side and the nonprofit side. You worked with Zain, you worked in branding, and you're now the CEO of Injaz, which is a nonprofit. Is there a balance that a country or a nation can strike between the immediate safety of its citizens and the long-term prosperity? We're seeing these rolling lockdowns that are coming in and coming out. What do you think what do you think of that?
Can you rephrase your questions? Because I think I'm not getting your question.
So there's a lot of can a country strike a balance between the immediate safety of the people living in the country and the long-term prosperity of the country? Can a balance be struck, or do we need to choose between safety from Corona or the economy?
Well, I think balance would be my answer, because extremes never takes you anywhere, because you cannot protect something and break something else. It's hard to find balance. It's for some people it's very difficult. But you need to find a way. Maybe not a 50-50% balance, but you need to recognize every part. I mean, you just cannot have 0 somewhere and 100 somewhere else.
Do you have a way that we can get to that balance? Do you think there's a way to get to that balance?
I'm sure if the right people were put to work on that, yes, I'm sure there is a way. You just need to find the specialized people in the field. I mean, if many companies, I mean, if I'm going to talk on a small scale, some countries managed to have schools back and still have the kids safe, and some countries just worked on an online solution. That was another balance for schools to go on. Maybe not the perfect scenario. Kids are not in schools, but they are getting their education. We managed as a non-profit organization not to close. We managed to work from home. We managed to cut costs. We managed to pay our employees' salary. Again, not 100% perfect, not the best scenario, but we did not, I mean, I can't say the word now, but we did not favor something on something else. We managed to keep life going. So I think if you know what you're doing and you know your job very well, you will find a minimal way to stay doing what you're doing until the pandemic is gone.
Mr. Khalid, if you can elaborate on the idea of balance, please.
I would like to give you an example from where we are, from Bahrain itself. Now, to have the balance between the economy and also the safety of the people and the health, the governments have focused a lot into becoming a role model into how to manage this pandemic. The focus was there, and the other arms, they opened what was very well known to us, Fina Khair campaign, where they invited the private sector as well to this fund to contribute, and the contribution was in a lot of way have sustained also the economy by giving it back as a support aid to the small and medium businesses. So what happened is, like, you are ensuring that the private sector, who is, let's say, healthy all over the years, to contribute in that unexpected crisis to become a key players into making this balance happen, making this balance a reality. Now, no one was expecting this to happen. We were forced to become digitalized.
True.
Where the future was there, but we were walking in a very slow turtle
pace.
move. But now we're just moving on in a Formula One speed. People who had the technology and the will and the resources was coping quickly, while the others have no option now except just to go ahead and become with them on the same stage. From the CSR perspective, or from the corporate social responsibility perspective, we came up with something that nowadays it's not about the three pillars of the CSR International, which is the economy, the social, and the environment. Today, the fourth pillar, which we would love to register it internationally, the culture played a big role in that. We're trying all our best to register the fourth pillar internationally as a CSR association. Why? Because today, it's not about the corporate, it's not about government support, it's about the individuals who is also there, dedicated their time, dedicated their resources, dedicated their knowledge, dedicated whatever they have to see that we go out from this pandemic. The ISR is one of the key things nowadays into the family businesses. Mm-hmm. The family businesses in the old days was the key players when it comes to the corporate social responsibility and the contributions to a sustainable projects in their countries. But today, the chairman, he says, I would like to take it as an individuals as well, not from the budget of the family business, the board of directors, members of the board, and maybe the third generation is also nowadays is thinking about it in the same way. So what did the pandemic teach us today? That it's not about business anymore. Business is very important. But what is important is to get up and live together again as one. And those, what we talked about, the political things or whatever is the political behind everything, there is no more boundaries in between us. You see that people is thinking about, I'll give you an example that happened in Lebanon. The whole world was supporting Lebanon when they had that marina issue. Why? Because, and if you look into it, was it in the period of the corona or not?
Yes.
Was it something different? Yes, it was. Did people say, no, we will just gonna keep our money for ourselves because we are having a corona? No, they contributed. Similar to the refugees, that's our first speaker was talking about. Every single thing that is happening nowadays, it's about, I wanna see the world in a better stage. And then the economy gonna be healthy by having citizens of countries is our customers. They're buying our services and our products. If we're not having them healthy, who's gonna buy our services tomorrow? I take it this way.
And how do you think we should improve that culture of that we're all in it together? Like, is there a way we can work on that culture, make it bigger?
Excellent question. From our side, see, our organization is focusing onto the next generation.
Okay, you lost hope with the with the older ones.
People, current generations, they're doing their best. To be honest, they're doing all their limit best. But tomorrow, you'll have a new generation coming, and this generation might be a family business generations, or maybe a local generation, or people who will find a job and just go and work for a place. If you don't build that culture, that it's not only you, we will not gonna have a sustainable future. So what we are focusing on, and alhamdulillah, we have a lot of great numbers in our regions, positive young leaders who are waiting to get the chance to become that great supporters to any future. I say, and I'm quite sure Corona is not the only things that we're going to face internationally. I have a big feeling that the next virus, it might be a cloud virus.
A cloud virus, and like an electronic virus.
A cloud virus. Cloud, it's like, what if our all storage of information is gone in one day? How are we going to recall it? What if something happened? We did not know that a virus can hit the whole world like this. But I have a very strong feeling that maybe the next one is a cloud virus. And that's where people have, it just, but yes, the sessions like this, that it's been taken care by an organizations like you and Mohammed, is what we need. We need people to come up and talk about solutions and bring things ahead.
Mhm.
Today, you can address things on a table and talk about them, but end of the day, you don't have the action to do those things. But what if you take those comments and topics that you have today into the right decisions to action them? That's where you can see the change.
Great, thanks a lot, Mr. Khalid. Ms. Layla Multari, do you have anything to add to the can we raise the culture of giving and sharing and collaborating? Since you're in education, which is the essence of education is basically sharing and collaborating.
Yes. If you want to encourage someone to do something or influence someone to do something, you have to walk the talk. You have to be the example. And that's how I think things should happen, that we should start somewhere, do something, try to work on it. And then when we talk about it, especially to the young generation, and Injaz Kuwait has a good relationship with the younger generation. We love them, they love us, our programs, they are our alumni, they keep on coming back to our programs. So we know that what we influence them with what we say. So we were very careful during the pandemic on exactly what to say in our classes. We showed them how much we care about what's happening in the world, that how much each and every one of us has a role in it, and how much, your little role is to stay home or maintain the distance, wear your mask. These little, but very, very important things, we keep on saying them. So I think it happens by walking the talk, and then you can influence bigger organization. You start with doing your job right, doing it, and then you start influencing people by just being what you're saying.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ms. Layla Multari and Mr. Khalid Al-Qaoud. We're going to take questions from the crowd. We have Mr. Hussam, you have a question? Okay, Mr. Hussam.
No, thank you very much. I just want to maybe voice what Layla was saying, and as well Mr. Khalid, but mainly on the challenges. Since COVID, even businesses, as you know very well, Muhammad, they were trying to adapt and see a way to move forward. For non-for-profit and NGOs and everything around, we have, and I'm not talking about the UN here, but we do have less leverage when it comes to immediate change, because you don't have the capacity, you don't have the funding, even the UN. So what about, on the ground, grassroots, entrepreneurial, social movements and social entities? I think this is talking about how philanthropy can help as well. I think this is where the private sector can step in and support non-for-profit to make the shift. We're talking about digitalization. Khalid spoke about all of that. Without the private sector support, I think we will be a little bit slow, or if not much slow, to adapt change. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussam. Thank you very much. And we're going to move on. Just a second. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid Al-Qaoud, Ms. Layla Multari. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.